Awakens. Welcome to or welcome back to Reawaken Your Life. I am a mental health coach. I help moms and caregivers who are burned out overcome burnout and get back to training or the workforce or school. I know what it's like to have goals and have dreams and ambition, but it seems like life just keeps coming in the way of those dreams, those goals, and those ambitions. So, today's topic, I wanted to focus a little bit more on loneliness, but today I want to specifically look at it from the relationship perspective. So before we get into the video, I just want to thank everyone who came out and donated clothes to for the event for the Dress for Success this past Friday. I don't know if I've shared it with you, but Freedom Friday started as a monthly group I had with the displaced homemakers in Bergen County. And we met virtually every month for 90 minutes, which is a program I'm offering, and I'll talk about it at the end. But it now grew into an in-person monthly event where it's now grown into donations of clothes. So we still have the Freedom Friday. We get in our circle, we get in our huddle, and everyone shares what they feel comfortable sharing. You know, you're supported, you're heard, you get resources, referrals, and then we feed you, networking. You get your makeup done. So I'll be sure to share the details for the next event. But everyone who donated, Inglewood Hospital, the breast center, Starbucks of Inglewood, thank you so much for all your contribution and all that you do to support me and my mission in helping moms and caregivers overcome burnout. So let's get to loneliness. So I had a client who she said to me, she said, Elise, I'm afraid to leave. I don't know anyone else but him. I've been with him since I was 14, 15 years old. And now we have a family together. How did you do it? How did you walk away? And, let me just briefly tell you, if you don't already know, in my book, A Farewell to Welfare, which I was actually going to name Leaving Him, Discovering Me. That was the original title. I actually even found the journal that I used to write A Farewell to Welfare. And this journal was from 2013. So 10 years later, it's like, wow, we'll talk about that in another video. But Leaving Him, Discovering Me was going to be my story of how I walked away from a man that I was in love with. Like, you could never tell me that we would not be together. So when she asked me that, because it's like 10 years later, I'm not even that same person anymore, right? When she asked me that, I really couldn't give it a concrete answer. I was just like, I knew I had more to do with my life. I knew this wasn't it. So I had to keep it pushing. Like, I didn't even really give it too much thought, right? But the reason why I wanted to talk about that, because back then, like when I'm going through the journal and everything, I'm thinking about, I was so attached to this man that when the relationship was over, I wanted to end my life. I contemplated ending my children's life. Like, this is how deep it was, and I didn't realize it. And I'm grateful for the people I had around me, my friends and family, who helped me out of that situation. That's how real it is, right? Shame. Pick up the book, read it. Anyway. So, I thought about how I once was there. So I can't say, oh, this person shouldn't or you shouldn't, because I was there. And how I know I was there and how I can measure that I've changed and I've grown is because recently my daughter, she was looking at a meme and she showed me, it was about something with a relationship where a woman was kind of like, I guess, a clown for a guy. And when I read it, I was doing something else and I looked and I read it and I was like, oh, that's how I used to be for your father. And she was like, what? Like, you, like the inspiration? Like, no way, I could never picture that. And then she straight up said to me, she was like, you know what, mommy, if you would have still been like that now, I wouldn't have respect for you. When she said that, I was like, oh, okay, wow, right? Like, That must mean, like, I'm not even on that time. And I remember sitting outside waiting for the person to come home, like not even moving. Like, this is real talk, right? We all sent every now and again. Point is, if this is to the point where you feel like you want to hurt yourself or you want to hurt your partner, um these are the signs that it's definitely time for you to move away from that. Because anytime you feel as if you want to hurt someone, this goes to a whole nother level, right? Another thing, hold on, Majesty, shh, sorry. You can't focus and you can't concentrate. And we be quiet, be quiet. You can't focus and you can't concentrate either in school or at work. So I also remember, there were times where if my mate didn't come in, it would be like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm up because I'm worried. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? What's going on? And now I have clients telling me this 10 years later, the same thing. So the next day you don't have, you're tired. And we know how it is, like getting children up and ready and out the door to be on time for school. We all know what the hassle of that is. So imagine adding on top of that, now you haven't slept all night because you don't know where he is, what's going on. So now you haven't even gotten a proper rest. So now you're irritable. So it just becomes like this cycle, right? And your mind is all over the place with all of these thoughts. Where this, where, right? And then the last thing to me is that this impacts your children now, right? So you have to know that a lot of times people stay in relationships because of the image. I don't want to break up. This is my family. This is what I've built. It's what I've established. And it's tearing you apart emotionally, like spiritually, you're almost like depleted because you're trying to keep this up. You want to hold on. You don't want to just abandon, your relationship. You want to be different than, how it was in your childhood. But it gets to a point where when you see that this is impacting your children, it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with him. Because like we already know that it's possibly impacting your studies or your work, and you're like, okay, I could get it. I can probably get it together. But now you see it impacting your children. That's the point where you have to say, okay, when will I say that this is enough? Because I deserve better. I am better. And my children don't need to grow up resolving issues that I can just fix right now by having a conversation. Yeah, like we as mothers have to understand that as much as we can do self-care, and that's the whole, and I wouldn't even say balance because that's even a myth, but that's the whole flow of it, or as I was told by my sister, the harmony of it, where there comes a point where you do have to put your children's needs before yourself. And I remember, I guess even maybe like when my children were younger, I thought that caring for children was like making sure they had a roof over their head or, clothes. It went so much deeper. It's the psychological, it's the emotional, it's the comfort, contact. There's so much more than what I originally envisioned motherhood to be. And this is why I applaud every mother out there. This is the reason why I'm sharing my journey with you, because I want to help support you. So going back to tying this to loneliness, are you afraid to be alone? Are you in a situationship, a marriage, a relationship? You domestically live with this person and you really are a single parent. Like, even though y'all live in the same house or whatever, you're really a single parent undercover. I see that so many times. Or you strictly holding it down for the whole household, or however it goes, you are doing it alone, but you have a partner right beside you. You have to make this choice, because I hear a lot of people say that they stay in situations because they're afraid of being alone. What makes you afraid? Comment and let me know, what is it about being by yourself that is making you so afraid, that you're in a situation where you're like, you know what, I'd rather be with this person, even though I know this is toxic, even though I know this can get physical, even though I see how it's impacting my children. My children are afraid, or they're timid, or they're acting out in their own way. And it's because of what they're seeing me do. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect, right? Things do happen, but at some point you do have control over it. So that's what I want to say to you. Loneliness. Are you in a situation because you're afraid of being alone? But this situation is not just, toxic. And I know that word is used so much, but the relationship is breaking your spirit. It's not just impacting your work, your children, is breaking your spirit. So you let me know in the comments. What I'm doing now is, if you want to work with me, I'm offering a $17.97 monthly subscription. That gives you access to a 90-minute group consultation. We meet bi-weekly. If you want to work with me one-on-one, go to my website, afairwelltowelfare.com, and you click on work with me. There's a lot that's happening. As much as I can, I'm grateful to be able to serve in my community, and whether that be in person, virtually, I'm happy to be in the field that I am, and that is healing. Actually, today I had 2 other topics I was considering. You let me know if you want me to make videos on that. And one was trouble with being consistent. I'm hearing that a lot. That's a running theme. And number 2 is miserable people. Like, it's almost as if when you're nice to somebody, it's weird. Like, people are like, wait, why are you doing that? Why? And it's like, wait, is there something wrong with being kind? It's like being kind is being weird. So you let me know if you want me to make those videos. This is Elise A. Wiggins with Reawaken Your Light. As always, I love you. I wish you well. And don't wait for a leader. Become one.